Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Storytime Society. I'm your host Jamie and I'm so happy you're here. I'm so glad you're alive. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Storytime Society. The theme of today's episode is updates only. You know that one sound on TikTok that's like, I love abortion and trans people and migrants and birth control and like all those things. I feel like sometimes I need to start my podcast with just me like saying, I love abortion, I love trans people, like, because some people just don't understand after so many episodes that I'm never going to shut the fuck up about it, you know? But anyways, let's get into this episode, okay? The title of the first story is, Am I the Asshole If We Don't Pay for My Son's Rehearsal Dinner Because I Can't Stand His Fiancée? Trigger warnings, falsifying CPS complaints, manipulation, bullying, possible controlling behavior. Okay, this is kind of like weirdly written, I think. It says, OP and her husband have 3 sons. Louise, 32, Cyril, 27, and Jamie, 22. OP is navigating the complex family dynamics, mainly with her son Louise and his fiancée Jessa. OP is closer with her sons and their partners, but she feels uneasy about Jessa due to political differences and Jessa's deceptive hostility towards Jamie's wife, Lucy. Jessa made snide comments about Lucy, and there are tensions surrounding her wedding, particularly concerning the rehearsal dinner. OP is conflicted about paying for the dinner, as she feels it may enable Jessa's treatment of Lucy, but her husband suggests that they should let it go to avoid conflict. She's concerned about maintaining a good relationship with her children and her partners, but doesn't want to overlook behavior that hurts Lucy, whom she's very close to. She asks if withholding payment would make her an asshole. So it's written from like third person. Is that the right person? Point of view. From what I'm hearing, I'm on OP's side at this current point. I don't know many details, but we'll see. Update 1 2 days later. After inviting her son Louise to lunch to discuss rehearsal dinner and wedding plans, OP learned there are significant tensions between Louise and Jamie, which she hadn't realized were so severe. Louise expressed frustration with Jamie, accusing him of being controlling and unsupportive, particularly regarding the wedding. This revelation was shocking, as both brothers had always been close, and she's unsure how to proceed. OP was not sure about making an intervention, as her husband thinks Louise and Jamie should work it out on their own, and she's unsure whether to get involved in the family drama or let things unfold. With the wedding approaching closer, she's left navigating her role in this difficult situation. And then update number 2 is 1 week later. Please be kind to me. I know that I have not been a perfect mother or mother-in-law, and I know these issues aren't mine to fight, but my family is falling apart. Last weekend, my son Jamie and his wife Lucy went out of town for a concert. My husband and I stayed home and had Letty, our granddaughter, and we had a great time, although they probably FaceTimed us every 2 hours all day Saturday. Saturday evening, Louise and Jessa invited us out to dinner. We told them we could go somewhere but would need to be home by 8 for Letty to go to bed, or they could come to our place and we could take out and hang out here. I assumed they wanted to talk about the rehearsal dinner. They didn't respond until after I got home from church, and my son just texted me and said, "We were thinking somewhere nicer. Never mind." Kind of odd, but whatever. Everyone got home safely, but Jessa and Louise skipped our Sunday dinner the next day. Then a few days ago, I was home with Lucy and Letty, and Louise came over with Jessa to pick up the ring. Louise has this thing with Letty where he'll walk in and say, "Ring, ring," and she'll yell, "Hello," and then he picks her up and gives her hugs and kisses. But he came in and was just ignoring her, so she ran up with her arms out and yelled, "Hello," and he just walked past her. He got what he needed and left, but I was appalled. I asked Lucy if we should tell Jamie, and she just said that we probably shouldn't. But how are you going to be rude to your niece? She's also his goddaughter, just because you're mad at her dad. But that brings us to yesterday. I was out grocery shopping. Apparently, keep in mind I was not there, Louise came over to bring something to my husband, who was outside in the garage with Jamie and Letty. Louise and Jamie got into an altercation that became physical. My husband says that Louise instigated the physical fight, but he's not sure of the rest since his only goal was to get Letty inside. When he got back outside, it seemed over and nobody was hurt, but they were still yelling at one another. My husband told Louise to leave, and when he did, had Jamie go downstairs to cool down. I asked him, what even started the fight, and he said he isn't even sure. Everything escalated so quickly, and I have never seen him so shaken in so long. We don't know how we're going forward, but I finally agree with you all. This is Jamie and Louise's issue to work out. I can't blame myself, and I certainly can't fix it myself. My husband and I told Louise he was no longer welcome at our home, and he lashed out at us, telling us we were taking his side, and I told him, listen, he attacked his brother in front of his child. They both deserve to live somewhere they feel safe. The other thing is that Louise works for my husband, and he's well within his rights to make him do a drug test. As for the wedding, I have no idea what to do. My husband says we should just give them the money we promised them and be done with it. That breaks my heart, but it might be the only way. Jamie just has told me a few times we just need to get through the wedding and maybe things will work themselves out. I don't know if he means that, to be honest. I'm just so sick, and I wish that there was something I could do. I'm trying to set up time to spend time with my middle son, Cyril. I feel bad that he's in the middle of all of this too, and I don't want him to think I've forgotten about him.
If you want extra content weekly, head over to patreon.com/storytimesociety and become a member on there for extra content. Love you.
Okay, what is happening? I'm stressed because what are the details? Like, there's no details being given here for me to be, like, say which side I'm on. Like, it's so vague and so broad. It's like, okay, what are the issues that are making this happen? And I can't stop yawning today. Like, I'm so annoyed. I hate the feeling of having to yawn every 5 seconds. This is 5 days later, update number 3. This will probably be my last update, and I apologize that it's kind of long. I'll try summarizing it at the end. I'm completely destroyed about all of this. I mentioned in my last post, my husband and I told Jamie that he needed to tell us the truth about everything. Lucy was working, and he put Letty to bed, so it was just the 3 of us. He kept skirting the subject, and I finally got so mad and told him, listen, you're living in my home, and now you're physically fighting your brother. If you don't tell me what's going on, your daughter can stay here, but you and Lucy will need to find somewhere else to live if you want to keep secrets like this. He got angry and wouldn't answer me anymore. We fought a bit more, and he went to bed. I told my husband I meant it, and he was like, I don't know what else to do. Luckily, my son came to us the next morning and told us everything from his point of view. Basically, the 4th of July, we had fireworks in our neighborhood. So Cyril, Rosa, Louise, and Jessa came over. We still have rooms for them. And since Rosa's dog was at her parents', they all had a bit too much to drink and all spent the night. Later, when my husband and I had already gone to bed and they were all hanging out, Cyril and Lucy went for a walk and smoked a joint. I'm not saying I approve of this or anything. I've never seen her high, but I've heard them make jokes because she doesn't drink, but I guess sometimes she does smoke. So basically, the only person who was fully sober was Louise, but he had just gotten LASIK and couldn't drive at night and was a little out of it in general. Anyways, Jessa flipped out when she found out about the pot and started yelling at Lucy. She said she was a mandated reporter, and since Jamie had been drinking, she was endangering her child by smoking. Brought up that kidnapped British child and just laid into her. Lucy got upset and went to bed, and Jamie argued with Jessa. He admitted it got pretty nasty from both of them. Basically, Jamie called Jessa out for her behavior towards his wife in general. Jessa told him that she was just saying the truth, and it's ridiculous that they call themselves married when they only got married because they had a baby and for insurance, and would be divorced in a few years anyways. Jamie told her she's just bitter that she's still in her mid-30s and unmarried. This was low. She had an engagement that ended because her fiancé cheated on her with her friend. Jessa then went for the jugular and told him that it was embarrassing for him and Letty to even be in their wedding because it was trashy being so young with a baby, and that Letty would have been better off being adopted by a nice family who was wanting a child. Jamie told her if it was so embarrassing for her, his family didn't need to go to the wedding, and it wouldn't be anything off his back. He then went inside to go to bed. Louise followed him into the house and asked him not to drop out of the wedding. He said everyone was just drunk and said cruel things and promised Jessa wasn't going to call CPS. Jamie still said he couldn't be his best man and that he didn't want his wife or daughter to ever be alone with Jessa until she apologized. And that's when the whole Lucy shouldn't go to the reception so she can watch her daughter and shouldn't spend money on things that aren't Letty stuff started. Lucy was really scared of rocking the boat and was just going along with it. Jamie had been trying to get to her and convince her that nothing was going to happen, but she was freaked out. So of course I asked if he hasn't told us any of this because he also believed that this was a problem. How often is she getting high? He just laughed and said maybe 2 or 3 times a month. He's not worried, and she's certainly not since the 4th. Weed is legal in our state, and I know Cyril smokes often, but only if you're over 21. So Lucy has been embarrassed and especially hasn't wanted my husband and I to know any of this. I wanted to get my other son's sides, and Cyril agreed to meet my husband and me later that day, and his version was the same as Jamie's. Almost worse because he and Rosa stayed outside and kept arguing with Jessa. And I know you all think I forget about my middle son, but he knows that he's my drama-free king who never causes me any headaches. I asked if he thought Letty was being neglected or if Jamie or Lucy had a problem, and it was a resounding no. He told us that he thought that Louise and Jessa were out of their minds and just looking for drama. Apparently, after Jamie had left the fire, Jessa continued ranting about Lucy, saying she was inappropriate with Louise because in his phone her name had an emoji by it. I can confirm this. It's a car because before Louise got his license back, the joke was that Lucy was his Uber driver. She also talked about not wanting me to watch her kids if Letty was there because she thought that since her parents were teens, she'll be a bad influence on her and Louise's kids. Cyril said he and Rosa also want to drop out of the wedding, but Jamie begged him to stay on to avoid any more drama. Finally, he said that he's tried talking to Louise as well, and as much as he blames Jessa, he feels like Louise has to be blamed as well, more than anyone, for going along with everything. At this point, we were devastated and confronted Louise about his side. He continued to avoid the question, so I was very clear. We told him what his brother said and asked if any of this was true, because I had wanted him to get a chance to give his full story without any bias, but he refused to say anything until I relayed what Jamie and Cyril told us. He didn't deny any of it. Actually has assumed that I knew about it and that Jamie had told me and asked me to withhold the money unless Lucy was invited to the wedding, which has been setting him off. I asked him if he thought that Letty was being neglected by Lucy or Jamie. They live in my home, and I needed to know if he truly believed that we had a reason to be concerned about my granddaughter's safety. He didn't answer directly and was like, "See, this is just proof that all you care about is Jamie and his kid." And Jamie needed to realize he wasn't perfect, so I asked him again, and he avoided the question again. My husband asked him then and there if he could pass a drug test because he was ranting and getting flustered, but not actually saying anything. He brought up some other things, including a specific relaxed conversation that Jessa was a part of, and I still have no idea why she would be upset about it. I could tell Louise was deeply hurt by that, and I think my husband regretted it. Louise told us the only person we should be drug testing was Lucy, and made us leave. But the next day sent over confirmation that he took a drug test at the lab we've used before, and when he received the results, he passed. Later this week, he handed in his notice. He worked for my husband. He's taken a position at a competitor. My husband is devastated because it obviously means he's been talking to said competitors, as offers don't just happen out of the blue, in his opinion, but paid out his notice, and that was his last day. During all of this, but after we'd confronted Louise, my husband and I started discussing how we move forward. We knew at this point that the boys would need to work themselves out. If I'm going to be honest, after getting all the sides of the story, we were leaning towards being on Jamie and Lucy's side, although we acknowledged the mistakes they made, since it all seemed like a severe overreaction on Jessa's part after months of rude bullying towards them. We talked about possibly talking to them, booking therapy, anything to try to fix all of this. But on Tuesday, our decision was made for us. It was possibly the worst day of most of our lives. I was at home with Letty and Lucy, and a caseworker from Family Protective Services came to our house based on a report. We were all interviewed, and they did a walkthrough of the house. I don't know if we're going to get an official notice or anything, but the caseworker seemed nice and told us she saw nothing to move forward on, but left some stuff about services for Lucy and Jamie. They are completely traumatized, and so am I, if I'm being honest, and have been glued to Letty ever since Tuesday, as if someone is going to come take her from them. Even Letty can tell that they're sad. I've spoken with Lucy, who kept assuring me she only ever smoked on some weekends and never when Letty was awake. I told her that I believed her. She kept offering to take a drug test, and even if I didn't, nobody is going to take a happy, healthy, and safe child from her parents, even if she was smoking every day. But I can tell she doesn't believe me. Jamie confronted Louise that evening via text. He refuses to see him, and asked if it was him or Jessa. Louise told him it didn't matter, so Jamie told him he was dead to him and blocked his number. Rosa dropped out of the wedding, and Cyril is staying on as best man but won't attend the reception or give a speech. He wanted to back down completely, but Louise convinced him to stay on for the ceremony at least. I told him he should do what he thinks is best. He says he still wants to drop out, but is worried it might lead to something worse. He said something and was completely heartbroken, but was kind of like, well, there's still time for them to turn against me and try to ruin my life, so we'll see how this goes. I think he's trying to protect his little brother by not pissing them off more, but I can tell how miserable he is. My husband and I are completely broken about all of this. We told Louise that while we would always love him, but we could not support him or his marriage after he and or his fiancée wasted CPS resources to get revenge on his brother, and that he needed to come over and get the rest of his stuff. Documents that we were keeping for him, childhood stuff that wouldn't have fit in his apartment, and to let us know exactly when he would be doing this because Jamie and his family were not going to be there. Maybe we shouldn't have, but we confronted him when he came over, asking him again if he truly believed that his niece was in any danger. He told me that it didn't matter what he thought. We'd always defend Jamie, who he said would get over it once this all blew over. I told him he very much would not be getting over this, and very likely he would never see his brother or his niece ever again. I don't know if he didn't realize before then how serious this all was or what, but he kind of backtracked and told us to tell Jamie to call him. We told him multiple times that's not going to happen, and he got angry and desperate before blaming us, saying that we're the reason for this mess. We should have made Jamie figure his own life out and not babied him. I remember yelling at him that if he'd had his own way, I would still be doing his laundry and packing him lunch, and to remember that he lived here for longer than Jamie has or plans to. My husband and he started fighting, and it ended with Louis telling us that he was going to start his own family and didn't need us and blamed us for all of his problems. I was done with that and told him to get out if he was just going to keep saying things with no examples or explanations to back it up. He didn't ask about the money, but I was ready to tell him I was saving it in case we would need it for a lawyer for all of this bullshit. I know it would be easy to blame Jessa, and it's hard not to because I can see her influence in all of this. But my son is the problem, and he, or his fiancée, with his knowledge and support, has done something so unforgivable I don't think he will ever see his brother's family again. And it will be a long time before my husband and I want to see him. I'll always love him, and if I got a call tomorrow saying that he needed a kidney, a lung, bone marrow, I would go straight to the hospital to give it to him. If he needed to go back to rehab, I would go back to work and work nights to pay for it. My heart feels like it has the flu or something because I know if he has children, I'm unlikely to know, much less meet them. But I can't forgive him for this, and he hasn't even attempted to apologize. I've never been so sad. Oh my God. That was so long. Wait, the thing is that, like, what are their ages? Because I know they said it, but I don't know. Eldest son, Louise, is 32, engaged to Jessa, who's 36. Middle son is Cyril, who's 27, and has been dating Rosa, who's 27, for 5 years. And the youngest son is Jamie, 22, married to Lucy, 20, and they have a daughter, Letty, who is 2. Okay. So I'm seeing a woman that is literally 36 years old that is bullying basically a teenager. That's crazy. That's crazy. I'm kind of annoyed I didn't know their ages before this because what? Okay, Jessa, why are you literally bullying? I mean, yeah, she has a child, so like she has to be more mature and responsible, but like than like a typical 20-year-old. But still, she's 20 years old. What is your issue? Why are you 36 bullying a teenager? Oh, yikes. And you know what? Honestly, I feel like it's kind of common for the baby of the family to be like the one that's babied and like kind of favored, like the favorite child. I say this from experience because I'm the baby of the family. And I have always been like the youngest in my family until my niece was born, but like that was different because she was just a baby and like I was in like high school when she was born. But like I will be the first to admit it, I've always gotten like kind of favoritism, but I also have to say I have to say, in defense of my parents, I was the best behaved kid, other than my stepsisters. But like, obviously, my dad's relationship with my stepsisters is going to be different than his relationship with me because he, I'm his daughter. Like, he raised me since I was born. Like, he raised me since I'm his daughter. Yeah. Okay. Not saying that, like, you can't feel like an adopted child or, like, stepchildren aren't your own, but, like, it just wasn't the case for I feel like it wasn't really the case. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I have two older stepsisters and then my brother and my sister who are blood related to me, who are also older. It's actually my brother's birthday today. He's turning 32. And yeah, so I mean, I definitely did get favored a little and I got like babied a little. And I still think I do get babied a little. But at the same time, I did put my parents through the least amount of shit. So, like, I don't know. I'm not saying it's good to like have a favorite child, and I'm not saying that like I am the favorite child or anything, but I will be the first to admit that like I was kind of treated like the golden child because I didn't get in trouble like my siblings did. Okay, this is a new update and it says, I don't really know why I'm posting here, but I kind of wanted to get it off my chest. I guess Jamie is out of town this weekend for a bachelor's party, so it's just been the four of us. Yesterday, I sent Lucy to take Letty to pick out some mums because I love that little girl, but I cannot bear the soda pop song again, lol. But Louise came up to her at the garden center and apparently started ranting at her about Jamie, as if Lucy herself had no reason to be angry with him, telling her that she should leave him, that he's an asshole, and that he, Louise, is getting the tattoo that they both got together removed. Lucy doesn't even want to tell Jamie about it because we all know he'll just be pissed off, but I told her she shouldn't hide stuff from him. I don't know. I don't even know if I'm to trust my own advice these days. Edit, OMG, I can't believe I didn't add the good news. I've been working to talk about good news more. But Cyril and Rosa put an offer on a house and it got accepted. And the best part, it's so close, a 10-minute walk or a 3-minute drive. I knew they were looking, but I had no idea they were going to make an offer. So close, but not close enough to be a Marie from Everybody Loves Raymond. My husband keeps joking about how he needs to invest in home goods because I can't stop finding things I think they'll like. I get a receipt, lol. I don't understand this like rivalry between these brothers, to be honest. I just don't understand how like there can be a rivalry when there's such a big age difference. Like, I guess it's really crazy what they did. Like, I would never forgive them for that. Calling CPS. For one, it's like the wasting the resources. But then for two, it's like, that's so messed up to do that in spite of your brother when you know for a fact that the child is not in any danger. So it's really like a double whammy. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like, I guess honestly, I did have a time when I was younger, like at a certain point in my life. I think probably from like 19 to maybe like 17 to like 22, 20, 22 probably is when me and my sister kind of were like fighting, even though I didn't even live in Iowa. Like I was living in Florida at this point, going to school, but she's always had like a hard time. I've told you guys she's like a lot of mental illnesses. And so she's always had a lot going on and like really hard time just in life in general. And so at a certain point, I don't know what was going on, but she like hated me for a little bit, or I don't know what she was going through or what she was doing at the time, but she would like cuss me out on text message for no reason and say that I like blocked her on these social media platforms, and like I wish I could read the messages, because I actually found them on my Finsta like a month ago, because I randomly like logged into my Finsta from years ago and was looking at all my old posts on there. And I just like was seeing, I was posting all of these screenshots of what my sister was sending me, just these horrendous messages. And I did not remember her even talking to me like that. Like, I don't even remember that. I do now that I saw those messages, but I never really thought about it at the time, because now it's just like I don't know. She definitely thought at some point, like, I think at some point there was a point where I like loved and admired her and I looked up to her so much, until I got to a certain point, like probably around like 15 or 16, and like when I started realizing that she did have a lot of toxic behaviors, and like especially towards my mom, a lot of things she did to my mom was not good. And my mom and her just had like a pretty tumultuous relationship growing up, and sometimes still do, honestly. And so I think I kind of stopped looking up to her and more started, which I'm not saying this is good, but I kind of like started resenting her and looking down on her. So I can understand why she thought like I thought that I was so much better than her or whatever. I didn't think I was better than her, but I did kind of like resent her behavior. And I also at the time had been really, really taking care of her kid a lot, because when I was 12, actually, no, in 2012, when I was 14, 15, is when she had my niece. And ever since my niece was born, like I was a huge, huge part of her life for years. I babysat her like so much. Like I was very heavily involved, babysitting multiple times a week. Like sometimes it would get so crazy that I'd be watching her like 5 days in a row. And at a certain point, like I loved my niece so much, but at a certain point I was like, okay, hey, like I'm in high school and I still want to like live a high school life, and not like I love helping out and I love being with my niece, but at the same time, like this is not my child and I feel like I shouldn't be having to take care of her. And like if I said no, like my sister would be upset. And yeah, it just got to a point where it was like a lot of responsibility, but that had been like years. I mean, it was by the time my niece was like 5, probably 5 or 6. So yeah, I'd been dealing with it for a while. And it just got to be a lot, but nothing really even changed that much. I was just like starting to kind of realize like, you're always like not even really asking me. You just come over and drop your kid off. And I'm like, okay, I'm like 15 years old, but sure, I'll be mommy for the week. And I did love like being able to help out as much as possible, because my sister was working like a lot of the time and she's always been a waitress, which God help her, like that's such a hard thing to be doing for so long. Like she's been a waitress probably for 20 years. Like that's a lot of work and a lot of like stress. And yeah, you can make good money, but at the same time you can make shit money, and like it just all depends. So yeah, she's been a single mom for so long, because my niece's dad, it's like I don't even know where he's at right now, but he was addicted to heroin, meth, like a lot of terrible things was happening. He just wasn't, he like, I remember one time he literally was visiting, like watching my niece for the first time in like a while, because he would be like fine for a while and then he would go back and like we wouldn't hear of him for like a while, because he would be back into his like addiction and stuff, which is obviously very sad. And like I feel terrible for him, and I also feel terrible for my niece. And so he was watching her once, and that was like one of the last times I think he ever saw her, because he was watching her at my sister's house, and my sister was working. And I'm still like on the edge about if I think that my sister should have allowed him to be alone with her. I don't really know what the situation was at the time exactly, but all I know is that he did end up leaving her for a couple hours to go get drugs. So That obviously didn't end up turning out very well, and she was probably like 4 or 5. So then at that point, I'm like, okay, well, you know what? I cannot deal with that. And the terrible thing is, sorry, I'm like literally ranting. I don't know if I've ever said this on here before, but while my sister was pregnant with my niece, my sister was probably like 3 or 4 months pregnant, and she actually found out that her baby daddy, who she was with, she had been dating him for a few years at that point, had actually gotten another girl in a different state that his parents live in, who was a homeless girl. He had gotten her pregnant, and so they were pregnant at like the same time. And then they both had their babies, and she left her baby with my niece's dad's parents. So now my niece's half sister has been raised by her grandparents for her whole entire life, which her grandparents are a different story. It's like it's definitely a better situation than being raised by the woman or the man, the father or the mother, because they both are not well. Like, she's homeless and an addict, and he's an addict, and he was homeless on and off for a little bit. He might have a job now. I don't know. I pray God help him. But I don't know. The grandparents are also like have really like kind of alcoholics, and I don't know. So yeah, that was a whole crazy situation. And my sister stayed with him for like years after that, but then they ended up breaking up after he started getting heavily involved in like addiction and stuff. Really crazy, really sad. The top comment says, doesn't sound like OOP has a golden child. More like Jessa influenced a lot on Louise and it spiraled from there. Yeah, it sounds like I agree. Yeah, she specifically mentions the hundreds of thousands of dollars they have spent on him, I assume for things like inpatient rehab, and also mentions that he lived with them longer than the younger brother has. Jessa is evil incarnate as far as I'm concerned. I don't understand why she has this like prejudice, or I don't know what the hate against this young girl is. Like, I just don't understand that. We are going to move on to the next story. And the title of the next story is, I, 29 female, think my significant other, 30 male, is poisoning me. But I'm not sure and I don't know what to do. Background, I'm generally fit, active, and healthy, 29 female, who gets sick only maybe once a year and lasts at most 2 days before I'm back on my feet. I've been with my significant other, 30 male, for over a year now, and we haven't had any major fights at all. However, starting 5 months ago or so, my significant other has been sending me food that either he or his family has prepared, and also various supplements which I take from time to time. And call me crazy, but I've noticed my health start to decline. I'm less able to work out, and I've gotten sick frequently. Note that I've been cooking and eating my own food all this time. I don't eat deliveries or whatnot, and have not fallen sick at all. Also note that he and his family can cook. This isn't one of those amateurish cooking food poisoning kind of things. My significant other has access to both hospital supplies and agricultural supplies. His family has versatile professions. I've taken a stool test one time. I got sick, but that came back normal. So I thought that maybe I'm just overthinking it. I have absolutely no way of knowing for sure. Nonetheless, I have gotten sick again, and I ordered some delivery. The next day, I felt much better. However, my significant other brought over more food the next day, which I ate, and lo and behold, I got a bit sicker the next day. As for the motive, I don't know at all. I'm not parasitic and shower them with gifts regularly to acknowledge and reciprocate their goodwill. I'm keeping them from finding out my suspicions, but yeah, how should I proceed? Edit, no, I don't have any food intolerance or food allergies. The food he brings are standard dishes that I've eaten from other sources in the past. I'm confused why the family is sending cooked meals. I don't know. Maybe I've just never been with like a family that likes to cook or something, or like with a boyfriend that's family likes to cook or something. I don't know, but like It seems a little sketchy. Or maybe I'm just thinking that because she's saying that she gets sick. That's so scary. Okay, update. This is 3 months later. In the past, I asked what I can do with the relationship if I had a nagging sense that either my significant other or his family was poisoning me. The reason for his nagging. Wait, also, is he eating the food with her, or is it just her that's eating the food? That is something to note. Some Redditors said that maybe I needed to get help, to see a psychologist or a psychiatrist or to get therapy. That it was all in my mind. I'm well familiar with Reddit's or the internet overall misogyny, but I gave everything the benefit of the doubt. My personality just makes me this way. Some Redditors even commented that this must be fake, or that I must be trolling. My post was then locked down and I couldn't reply anymore. More helpful Redditors told me to simply not eat the food prepared for me. Sure, except it does nothing for the relationship aspect. Update. After several months, my ex finally admitted to it. The way I found out was when I confronted my ex outright. Although he tried deflecting and gaslighting at the start, I firmly kept pressing and he finally admitted to it. It turns out that his mother had been lacing the food with some chemical compound from their farm. From the original post, his mother one day started packing food for me, and I started getting sick. At first, I thought it was COVID. However, when I went to see the doctor, he said outright that what I had was not COVID. Furthermore, tests concluded I, in fact, did not have COVID. Then I got sick again, and the progression of the sickness went exactly the same way. Exactly the same. The symptoms and the duration. By this time, I definitely felt something was up. After days of just throwing away the food prepared for me and not getting sick ever again, when my ex came over, I finally confronted him. As usual, he tried to weasel his way out, but I put my foot down. He admitted that his mother didn't like me, that she thought I was taking him away from her. The conversation went something like this. Me. What? Take you away from her? What does that even mean? Him. I don't know. Me. But her conclusion is to poison me? My ex just turned and looked away and stopped making eye contact. I felt a nagging sense that something wasn't right and didn't make much sense. Me. So why did you say anything all this time? Him. I told her to stop. Me. And how do we know she stopped? At this point, he was shocked. His shock shocked me. Something was definitely wrong. Me. I stopped eating the food you guys have been preparing for me and just threw them out instead. I haven't had any problems since. He didn't say anything. I said, but why? Why all of this? You knew. Actually, at this point, I just wanted everything to be done with, but I knew I had to keep pressing to get the answers I wanted to find closure. After a while, he finally admitted. He was the one who wanted it. He wanted a way out of the relationship. He had started casually conversing with another woman and said that he maybe wanted to be with her. His conclusion was to have his mom prepare food and lace them with chemicals from the farm. What the hell was I hearing? Me. So why the need to poison me? Why not just tell me? He thought that if I was sick long enough, he would find an excuse to say the relationship wasn't working. What the actual F? At this point, it went without saying that I was just beyond upset. This was a crime being admitted to. He also said he never thought that I would be that sick, but that I would just be lethargic and feel overwhelmed. He expected me to break up with him too. Well, that I did anyway, mother effer. He pleaded with me to not call the cops on him or his mother. I said I'll think about it and made him leave my place. The audacity of this effer. I have since broken up with him and moved on with my life. F that asshole. Girl, if you don't call the cops right now, also talk about boy mom. Talk about a boy mom. Hey mom, will you poison my girlfriend for me so I can get out of the relationship? Yeah, sure, baby. Anything for you. Like, are you literally okay? Are you okay, dude? The top comment says, this reminds me of something I read where a woman was being poisoned by her mother-in-law. Every time they got together for a family dinner, she'd be sick afterwards. Finally, they went to a meal once where the mother put out some dipping sauce at each person's place. So she swapped her and her husband's sauces. When they got home, her husband got sick. When she told him what she did, he looked at her with absolute disdain and realized that he was in on it. I don't think they ever provided the motivation, but that was really fucked up. What is happening? What is the point in that? What is the point in that? Please, can you tell me? People are crazy for absolutely no reason. Like, it's really wild to me. What do you mean you're in on it and you're having your mother and like your mom poison your wife or your girlfriend? I mean, that's just wildly insane. Wildly insane. I cannot even imagine. Like, what is the point? Is the point to kill her? Was the point to kill her? Like, I'm just genuinely so in shock right now. Okay, we're going to move on to the next story. The title is, Am I the asshole for telling my boyfriend I'd rather be alone and suffer in my apartment than go with him to visit his mom? So I, 23 male, hate my boyfriend, 24 male family with a passion. I can't stand them. They're the most condescending, judgmental assholes I have ever met and had the displeasure of knowing. It all started when I first met them. They talked about my looks and how I could improve it by losing weight, cutting my hair, and stop eating like a pig. I'm 6'1" and 176 pounds. I go to the gym a lot and I would consider myself fit. They've shit on my job because they think I'm not good enough to be a doctor and I work too much. His mother is the one that says all of this, and the rest agree with her. It has gotten to the point where I'm dreading every birthday, Christmas, or any other celebration because I have to see them again. My boyfriend have told them to stop, but they always say that I'm too sensitive and I need to relax. Last time I met them, they told my boyfriend that he should dump me and find a man that's better for him. I was sitting next to him when it happened. So his mom got into an accident and had to go to the hospital I'm working at, and my boyfriend told me to help her and make sure she gets the best care. I told my coworkers, and they assured me that I can't be on her case and that I won't need to be near her at all. My boyfriend and his family begged me that I should visit her and make sure she's okay on my break, and I refused. I said I'd rather be alone in my apartment and suffer than to visit his mom with him or without him. I can't effing stand that woman. He and his family have been messing me with me. He and his family have been messaging me nonstop telling me I'm a bad doctor for not wanting to help a patient. But the thing is, she's not my patient, so am I the asshole. Edit, in Sweden it's 5 years of med school. Then you become an intern, I think it's called, in the US. After you're done with that, you can specialize in whatever field you'd like. I'm working in the surgical hospital, and I started my studies half a year before I turned 17. Definitely not the asshole at all. She's the biggest asshole. The family's an asshole. And quite frankly, if your boyfriend is not backing you and like telling them off, and honestly, like, I don't understand the point in having contact with a family like that. Like, I just don't understand. It's like, why are you gonna treat somebody like that? What the hell? I would never, ever, ever want to be associated with someone that, even like, no one. I don't want to be associated with someone that's going to say that someone should stop eating like a pig, or like talk about their looks to their face and say like, you need to change this about you. You'd be so much more attractive if you did this and this and this. Like, that's crazy work. I could never imagine. Oh my God. I do not want to be anywhere near an evil person like that. Okay, update 1. So I thought I would give you guys an update, but before that, thank you all for the kind words and support. His mom was fine. She was not in any danger at all. My colleagues told me how much shit she talked about me and how much better he could do than some wannabe doctor. I was fuming. She and her family had been begging me to visit her, and she was talking shit about me. So I went to her room demanding to know what her problem was. Well, she didn't like me because I'm, in her words, too masculine to be with her son, and he needs to find someone that's not. I told my boyfriend, and he was mad at first, but kind of agreed with her and told me it wouldn't hurt me to try being less mask. All I said was that if he's trying to make me change who I am, then there's no reason to be with me anymore. He told me that's not what he wanted and that he loves me. So I told him, like so many of you did, that if he wants me, then he needs to go low contact with her, and I'm going to go full no contact. He told me that's not fair, and I was being unreasonable. I had made my choice, though, and in the end, we broke up. To be honest, I'm not even heartbroken. I have my job, good friends, and a family that loves me. I've gotten texts from him telling me he misses me, but I just ignored them. In the end, I'm happy, and I think it's for the better. Edit, I just want to say again, thank you. To be honest, it's good to hear from strangers that I'm not overreacting, not a coward that's running away when things get hard. I really loved him, but the dude has big mommy issues, and because of his mom, I realized that I can't deal with a guy that can't put me first. I'm already working my ass off, and I can't be bothered to feel like shit after work. Yeah, I was gonna say, in the middle of this, that's all I was thinking is like, yeah, break up with him. It wouldn't help you to be less masculine. Like, uh, okay. So, hey, maybe you should just go date someone less masculine if you don't want someone to be masculine. Okay, this is 3 months after the first update. This dude's family has treated me like shit. I was never good enough. I was, in their eyes, a wannabe doctor that shouldn't be one, and they felt sorry for my patients. They wanted me to be less masculine because they wanted my ex to be the man. I told him that if he wanted me in his life, he needed to go low contact with her and accept that I would go full no contact. He didn't, and we broke up. He showed up at the hospital I work at, waited for me to get off my shift. When we were together, he got my schedule so we could see each other, and he wanted to talk. He told me he missed me and that his mother realized that it would be good to have a doctor in the family and that my boyfriend was an idiot to break up with me. He told me that he was done with our shit and that we should try to be together again. Honestly, I was so tired. I worked a 15-hour shift and was planning a nice date with my bed. I didn't think I missed him because of the shit that he put me through, but I don't know. I don't want it to go back to how it was, and I have had hate in my heart for him ever since we broke up. I don't know where I'm going with this, to be honest. I was going to go to sleep, but this has been on my mind since I got home. Just had to get it off. Edit. I'm a man. Yes, I knew that, but apparently not everyone did. Don't get back together with him. He has not done enough work or proven to you. Like, if this were in like a year and he's like, hey, I haven't talked to my mom in like a year because she's just toxic, she's not a good person, and I decided that I didn't want that for myself, and then he was coming back, I would be like, okay, maybe you can give him another chance. But like, no. Update 3. I talked to him yesterday. I asked him if he was really willing to go no contact with her, and he changed the subject time and time again. I told him why he told me what his mother said about me being the doctor in the family, and he couldn't answer that either. I told him to leave and that we would continue that conversation tomorrow. I saw him after work today. I got off at 1 and saw him at 3. I told him if he couldn't answer any of my questions honestly, then it wasn't even worth trying. So he told me what I believed was half of the truth. He said that he regretted everything, but his mother was right. Should have ended it there. I can't be the one that acts as the man between us, and it undermines him. He told me that he can't go full no contact with her because that's his mother. He told me that I was childish for breaking up with him over some comments she made, and told me that it won't happen again and that he won't let it happen. I asked him why he came back only after his mother told him that it would be good to have a doctor in the family, even though she didn't think I was a good one. He only said it's true and it's good to have one. At that point, I was fed up. I'm tired, I work long hours, and coming back to that headache was not worth it. I told him that I'm a man and that he is one too. Told him that's not how a relationship works between two men and that he will always be a mama's boy. I will not tolerate being talked down to or feel belittled over their internalized homophobia. I told him that any man/woman that he might date or wants to date can go through with that problem, but it won't be me. He begged and told me that it would make him happy if we tried and that his mother could change. No, just no. I want to be with someone that loves me for me and won't let their mother's hate make me feel like a failure and a bad person. I won't. I'm not dating their mother. I told him to not bother contacting me again and that I'm officially done with him now and forever. Thank God. Never talk to this man again. He's a loony bin. He's a loony bin, and his mom is a loonier bin. So, goodbye and good night. Okay, there's still 2 more updates. They're both short, but let's see. This is 8 months after the last update. My former boyfriend and I broke up because of his mother, and I haven't heard from him for a couple of months. Thank God. His mother came to my door demanding that I take him back, as he is blaming her for breaking us up and that he barely talks to her nowadays. She demanded I take him back as she wants him to start talking to her again. I bursted out laughing in her face for about 4 minutes, and I couldn't stop, which made her even more angry. I closed the door in her face and got ready to go to work. This woman followed me to work and again demanded I take her son back, and I just continued laughing in her face. In the end, I told her to F off and that she made her bed and she can rot in it. She looked stunned, as I don't usually talk back to her because I didn't want to upset my ex. I told her if she continued to harass me, I would go to the police. She seemed to back off after that threat. Good riddance. And then update 5, which is 24 days after the last update and a full year after the whole thing started, after the original post. So the devil has shown herself again, but this time with her son. To be honest, I'm still laughing my ass off. My ex and ex-mother-in-law showed up today. My ex told me that his mother said that I'm willing to take him back and that we could finally live a good life together again. I lost it. I laughed at them both, told them both that they were delusional to think I would ever consider having any type of relationship with either of them. I told my ex that his mother lied and that he knew why I would never in a million years take him back. He looked at his mom and yelled at her, and I just looked at her with a smirk on my face. His mother then started yelling homophobic shit like, "This would never have happened if you just stopped acting like a man." And I lost it, laughing again. Ex-mother-in-law even tried to attack me. But luckily for her, her son held her back and they left. I later got a call from a mutual friend that said my ex would make sure his mom wouldn't bother me anymore. I have him blocked. All in all, I'm happy, and this has been so fun. I hope they live a miserable life together. Holy cow. That is actually crazy. The top comment says, so what? Is his mom only okay with her son being gay if he's the top in the relationship? No, like, actually. What do you mean? She's like, you need to start acting like a woman or you can't date my son. Actually, I don't think that's how it works, but okay. And then someone said, so it's fine that her son is gay, as long as his partner is a feminine man. Well, the point is, both homophobia and misogyny, whatever it is, God forbids her precious son be the woman in the relationship. Like, why would you even think about your son's sex life? I mean, this woman is clearly the craziest woman you've ever heard of or ever met. The fact that women like this exist is crazy. Like, I've never met someone this crazy before. Like, I've truly never met someone this crazy, I don't think. I mean, actually, the people I've met that are this crazy are men. But anyways, that's the end of this episode. So let me know what you thought. I'm sweating right now. And I love you. Please leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts, comments, questions, concerns. I love you to the moon and back, and I'll talk to you in the next episode. Bye.
Storytime Society is now available on all listening platforms. If you are on any of those listening platforms, I would really appreciate it if you rated me 5 stars. Thanks for all the support.
Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.